Dust rose like smoke behind the horses, thick and choking. As Naya's bare feet stumbled over dry earth and broken grass, her wrists burned from the rope biting into her skin, and every pull reminded her that freedom had slipped from her hands. She did not cry. Apache women were taught not to waste tears on men who came with guns and iron hearts. The rancher rode ahead of her, silent, broad-shouldered, his posture stiff as if carved from the same land that surrounded them. She hated him instantly, not because he had taken her, but because he did so without cruelty, without shouting, without the drunken laughter she had learned to fear. That calm unsettled her more than violence ever could. Naya believed she knew men like him, white ranchers who saw Apache blood as something to tame or erase. Her mind replayed old warnings from the elders. A soft voice can hide a sharp knife. She kept her chin high as they reached the ranch, refusing to beg, refusing to show fear. The place was larger than she expected. Fences stretched wide, cattle lowed in the distance, and the house stood strong but simple, not the den of monsters she had imagined. Still, when he helped her down instead of shoving her, her heart pounded harder. Kindness, she knew, could be a trick. He told her his name was Elijah Cole. He said little else. No threats, no promises, only that she would stay, and she would be safe. Safe. The word echoed bitterly in her chest. Safe had never belonged to her people since the soldiers came. That night, as she sat alone in a small room with a bowl of food left outside her door, Naya decided one thing clearly. She would escape or she would die trying. And if this rancher believed he could break an Apache woman, he had already made his first mistake. If you feel the tension already building, stay with this story, because what happens next will change everything. And if stories like this move you, remember to subscribe so you never miss the next chapter. Days passed, each one heavier than the last. Naya waited for the cruelty to begin, but it never came. Elijah never raised a hand. He spoke only when necessary. He brought her food himself, treated her wounds without comment, and allowed her to walk the land under watch rather than locking her away. This confused her more than chains ever could. She watched him closely, searching for the lie beneath his actions. Men like him always revealed themselves eventually. The truth came in fragments, whispers from ranch hands who treated her not as a prisoner but as a presence they respected. Stories of Elijah refusing to sell Apache land to bounty hunters, of him losing family to raids and soldiers alike, of a man caught between two worlds rejected by both. Naya's hatred began to fracture, replaced by something far more dangerous, understanding. One evening she confronted him, asked why he had taken her. Elijah's jaw tightened, and for the first time, pain broke through his controlled exterior. He told her the army was coming, that her band had been marked, that taking her was the only way he knew to keep her alive. You can hate me, he said quietly, but you're breathing. And that matters. That night Naya didn't sleep. The world she understood no longer fit neatly into good and evil. The rancher she despised had done what her own people could not. He had acted before it was too late. Still, trust was not easily given. Apache blood remembers too much. But as she watched the moonlight fall across the land Elijah protected with his life, Naya felt something shift inside her. The question was no longer why he took her, but what he was willing to lose for her. If you're starting to see the deeper layers of this story, make sure you subscribe because the danger is only beginning. The warning came at dawn. Riders on the horizon, no badges and no mercy. They wanted Naya, not for justice, but for profit. Elijah didn't hesitate. He armed his ranch hands, hid Naya in the canyon caves he'd prepared long ago, and stood his ground like a man who had already accepted death. When the gunfire broke the morning silence, Naya realized the truth. This man was willing to die for her freedom. She disobeyed him. Apache women were not meant to hide while others bled. When she emerged from the canyon with a rifle taken from a fallen hunter, the world seemed to hold its breath. Together, rancher and Apache woman fought back the men who believed fear ruled the land. And when the dust settled, the ranch still stood. Elijah was wounded. Naya held him as blood soaked into the earth, her hands shaking as she pressed against the pain she thought she'd buried long ago. She saved him that day, not because he had taken her, but because he had seen her as human when the world had not. When the soldiers finally came, they found no prisoner. Naya stood free. Elijah handed her supplies, a horse, and the truth. She could leave. No chains, no debt, just choice. And that, more than anything, broke her heart. Naya looked at the land, at the man who had crossed every line to save her life, and understood something powerful. Freedom is not always about escape. Sometimes it is about staying because you choose to. She rode away at sunrise, but not forever. Some stories do not end, they wait. If this story moved you, inspired you, or made you see the Wild West through new eyes, subscribe to the channel. Stories like this deserve to be told, and you deserve to hear them.